Hi, my name is Nova. I'm a blogger for omgitsnova.blogspot.com, and we are here in the Lower East Side Girls Club with Cara Hoffman, the author of So Much Pretty. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nova.
So I want to start off by asking, what is the symbolism behind your title?
Well, the title So Much Pretty comes from a line in the book in which someone says to a woman who's a waitress in town, a man can only take so much pretty walking back and forth in front of him. So it's sort of a mysterious line.
What is your definition of pretty?
That's a really good question. I guess it sounds sort of cliche to say that I feel like beauty is something that comes from within, but I think there's all kinds of different types of beauty, and that that intellectual beauty is a kind of beauty, and that emotional beauty is a kind of beauty, and just being a person who is whole in themselves and is themselves, that creates, I think, the most beautiful things.
True. Can you speak a bit about how you started writing?
I started writing when I was actually a little girl, and my mother used to, I used to tell my mother stories and she would type them up. So when I was about 3 and 4, I had all kinds of stories that I had, quote, written, but actually she had written them down. And then as I got older, I started writing myself. So I've always written from the time I was a very little girl. Yeah.
What character in the book do you feel you relate most to? And which one do you feel like your teenage self relates the most to?
That's also a good question. So in the book there is a character named Stacy Flynn, who is a reporter, and she covers environmental issues, and she covers sort of this crime in a small town. And that character I definitely relate to because I was an environmental reporter and I was a crime reporter in a small town. So that character is I'm very familiar with her. And my teenage self, that's actually a really good question, because Alice Piper, who is the protagonist of the book, is a teenage girl who we see sort of growing up throughout the novel. And she's much smarter than me and much more capable than me, but she does things that that when I was a teenager I really liked to do. You know, she sort of has an adventurous life, you know, trekking around by a river, and she's a good swimmer, and she likes things like that, and she reads all kinds of strange books that her parents give her and things like that. So I could kind of say Alice Piper, but Alice is like an uber version of the ideal teenage girl. She's not quite me.
Speaking of Alice, it says in the synopsis that her parents were rewriting her path in life. Do you think that our decision is made by our choices, or do you think it's all fate?
I know, that's such a hard question.
Very challenging.
Right. It's a good one to think about too, right? Just especially with you, like, just going to college and just starting everything right now. I'd like to say that I don't think it's fate. I think that we really do have choices, and we really make choices, and Alice makes some pretty strong choices in the novel, pretty controversial choices. So even though she's influenced by what her family does, and even though she's influenced by society and the town that she lives in, ultimately the things she chooses to do are her own. And I think that's true. I think we all. There's a great, I think it's Simone de Beauvoir line, which she says, "Freedom is what you do with what's been done to you." And freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. And I think that's Alice Piper illustrates that, and I think ultimately we all illustrate that. It's true for all of us.
Why do you think this is a book that parents wouldn't want their teenagers to read?
I think there are a lot of reasons that parents wouldn't want their teenagers to read this. And I'm hoping that they do anyway. You have to read it and find out.
Well, we'll find out then. Why do you think your book is a must-read?
My book is a must-read. That's a good question. I think So Much Pretty is a must-read ultimately because it takes on a lot of political issues that people should be interested in and people should be aware of. And the primary one, of course, is violence against women. So it's not simply a novel, it's not simply a page-turner, and I'm happy with all the press that it's received, but I think the thing that really makes it a must-read isn't that you can quickly get through it or that it's entertaining, but that it talks about issues that are very important, like the fact that, 3 women a day are killed by their partners and spouses, or that, 1 in 50 or 60 men is a rapist, things that we don't actually talk about in society, and certainly we don't read about generally when we're reading fiction. So that's what I think makes it a must-read.
What do you think that people should leave with after reading the book?
I'm hoping that when people finish reading this book, they want to take some kind of action. They want to do something that's good. And I'm hoping that it inspires them to learn more about misogyny and discrimination and to do something.
Great. And what do you do, for instance, when you have writer's block and the ideas aren't coming to you?
Well, I try never to have writer's block. So I don't often have many periods where I'm not writing. I kind of try to keep it going all the time. When I'm really low and I don't feel like doing anything, I go swimming, and usually that makes all the difference in the world. Like if I'm stuck with something, I go to the Chinatown Y and I swim and swim and swim and swim, and usually I'm so exhausted when I get out, and like my mind's a little more refreshed, and I feel like I can go on.
And Alice loves to swim.
Yes.
And she loves to shoot guns, actually. So that's one of her hobbies. So I see that this book also satisfies gender roles and what's seen as acceptable in our society. Would you say the same?
I would completely agree. Yes.
Great. And also, correction. What words of encouragement would you give your younger readers?
I would tell my younger readers that they should really do what they want. They should really listen to themselves, and they should respect themselves and think about themselves as fully autonomous people who can really do what they want right now, not at some future point, but right now.
Right. So using age as an advantage.
How's that?
As in saying what we want to say at this age, but having more people listen to us because we are this age.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's true. You can say what you feel and what you think is right at any age.
Right.
And I think it's really important, and the sooner you start doing it, the more practice you have, so it really helps out.
What do you think are some tips on becoming a writer?
I think practice, and then more practice, and then more practice. So writing and writing and writing, even when it's not great, and when you don't feel like it's working out, or even if you feel like it's bad, you just keep writing. So many, many, many drafts helps. And
do you have any future plans? Maybe a sequel or any next big projects?
I do. I have a book coming out called Be Safe, I Love You. And it's, I believe, coming out at the end of this year, 2012.
Can you give us a little preview about what's going to happen in the book?
Yes, I can.
Top secret?
No, I can. It's not a sequel. It's a story about a woman who's coming home from a tour of duty in Iraq, and she gets home and she has some adjustment issues. And she's coming back sort of to a town that's not unlike the town in So Much Pretty, but it's a little more urban. And she's been the sole supporter of her family for a long time because the money that she's made in the military has paid the family's mortgage and things like that. So she has lots and lots of pressures, and it's sort of about what happens when soldiers come home and the pressures they face and the unique experiences that women soldiers have.
Great. I see that you use art for a lot of social awareness.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
and
you,
stay
Nova,
tuned
the
and
sister.
read Cara Hoffman. Thank you.
Thank you.